the KGB was even curious about this gentleman. It may look innocent. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, a great spiritual leader, or maybe a great charlatan and crook, depending on from which side you are looking at him. Beatles were trained at his ashram in Hardwar in India how to meditate. Mia Farrow and other useful idiots from Hollywood visited his school, and they returned back to United States absolutely zonked out of their minds with marijuana, hashish, and crazy ideas of meditation. To meditate, in other words, to isolate oneself from the current social and political issues of your own country, to get into your own bubble, to forget about troubles of the world. Obviously, KGB was very fascinated with such a beautiful school, such a brainwashing center for stupid Americans. I was dispatched by the KGB to check what kind of VIP Americans attend this school.
That's you on the left.
Yes, I'm on the left. I was trying to get enrolled in that school. Unfortunately, the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi asked too much. He wanted $500 American for enrollment. But my function was not actually to get enrolled in the school. My function was to discover what kind of people from United States attend this school. And we discovered that yes, there are some influential members of family, public opinion makers of United States, who come back with the crazy stories about Indian philosophy. Indians themselves look upon them as idiots, useful idiots. To say nothing about KGB, who looked at them as extremely naive, misguided people. Obviously, a VIP, say a wife of a congressman, or a prominent Hollywood personality, after being trained in that school, is much more instrumental in the hands of manipulators of public opinion and KGB than a normal person who understands, who looks through this type of fake religious training.
Why would they be more susceptible to manipulation?
I just mentioned that because you see, a person who is too much involved in introspective meditation. You see, if you carefully look what Maharishi Mahesh Yogi is teaching to Americans, is that most of the problems, most of the burning issues of today can be solved simply by meditating. Don't rock the boat. Don't get involved. Just sit down, look at your navel and meditate. And the things, due to some strange logic, due to cosmic vibration, will settle down by themselves. This is exactly what the KGB and Marxist-Leninist propaganda wants from Americans, to distract their opinion, attention, and mental energy from real issues of United States into a non-issues, into a non-world, non-existent harmony. Obviously, it's more beneficial for the Soviet aggressors to have a bunch of duped Americans than Americans who are self-conscious, healthy, physically fit, and alert to the reality. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi obviously is not on the payroll of the KGB. But whether he knows it or not, he contributes greatly to demoralization of American society. And he's not the only one. There are hundreds of those gurus who come to your country to capitalize on naivete and stupidity of Americans. It's a fashion. It's a fashion to meditate. It's a fashion not to be involved. So obviously, you can see that if KGB were that curious, if they paid my trip to Hardwar, if they assigned me to that strange job, obviously they were very much fascinated. They were convinced that that type of brainwashing is very efficient and instrumental in demoralization of the United States.
Allegory tells us that the phallus of Osiris was swallowed by a fish. Now, folks, this is most significant, and we may even infer that mankind itself is the fish, but it even goes any further, for this age has been known as the age of Pisces, the fish. The significant force and the power in the age of Pisces was Christianity, and the fish actually refers to Christianity. The phallus being the symbol of the vital power of the mystery school, and so used in Egyptian hieroglyphics. The phallus, then, is the lost word which is not discovered, but for which a golden replica is substituted. In the Egyptian hieroglyphics, the physical body after the death of the soul or its departure therefrom is called the Khat, or K-H-A-T, and the hieroglyphic for this is a fish. Thus, the physical body of man is definitely tied up in symbolism with the creature which conceived Son, Horus, a term concealing the collective body of the perfected adepts who were born again out of the womb, swallowed the triple phallus of Osiris, the threefold generative power. This golden phallus is the three-letter word of Freemasonry, concealed under the letters A-U-M. And all of those of you in the New Age movement, or all of those of you who fell for all these gurus who came over here and taught you to sit and meditate, and while you were meditating, hum this Aum, A-U-M. The golden phallus is the three-lettered word of Freemasonry concealed under the letters A-U-M. How do you feel, sheeple? And why do you do these things? Because somebody tells you to.
About Maharishi, I copped out and wouldn't write Maharishi, what have you done? You made a fool of everyone. But now it can be told, fab listeners.
When did you realize that he was making a fool of you?
I don't know. I just sort of saw him,
While in India, or when you got back?
Yeah, somebody said, there was a big hullabaloo about him trying to get off with me and a few other women and things like that. And we went down to him, and we'd stayed up all night discussing was it true or not true, And when George started thinking it might be true, and I thought, well, it must be true, because if George is doubting it, there must be something in it. So we went to see Maharishi. The whole gang was the next day charged down to his hut, his bungalow, his very rich-looking bungalow in the mountains. And I was the spokesman. As usual, when the dirty work came, I actually had to be leader, whatever the scene was. When it came to the nitty-gritty, I had to do the speaking. And I said, we're leaving. Why? All that shit. And I said, well, if you're so cosmic, you'll know why. Because he was always intimating, and there were all these his right-hand men intimating that he did miracles, And I was saying, you know why? He said, I don't know why, you must tell me. And I just kept saying, and he gave me a look like, I'll kill you, bastard. He gave me such a look, and I knew then when he looked at me, because I'd called his bluff. And if you know, you know all, cosmic conscious, that's what we're all here for. And I was a bit rough to him,
You're expecting too much from him.
I always do, I always expect too much. I always expect in my mother and don't get her, that's what it is.
And this whole story is in the book of Genesis, and people read it and they just gloss over that part. They don't really understand it. They don't really realize what was happening there. And everybody knows about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden and eating of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, but they don't understand that the whole fall of man was in believing the promise that Satan made to Adam and Eve that they shall become as God. And the real blasphemy is to stand and say, I am God, and mean it. You can do as I have just done and mean it as an example. But like Shirley MacLaine running on the beach, yelling into the air, I am God. That's the true blasphemy. That's the true fall of man. That is the true mistake that man has made and has put him in this position. For those who truly believe that, live for today. Now, if you really want to get a concept of what I'm talking about, listen to John Lennon's song entitled Imagine. Listen to the lyrics, not the music. The music was designed to be beautiful and trap so many young people while they're listening to this beautiful music and listening to these words which they didn't understand. They were indoctrinated into the Luciferian philosophy and the tenets of socialism. And that probably has more to do with John Lennon's death than anything else. And I have no idea who did it or anything. believe that that probably is what ultimately led to his assassination. I'm going to reveal something else here.
Said, now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized. This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis, to promise people all kind of goodies and the paradise on earth, to destabilize your economy, to eliminate the principle of free market competition, and to put a big brother government in Washington, D.C., with benevolent dictators like Walter Mondale, who will promise lots of things, never mind whether the promises are fulfillable or not. Your leftists in United States, all these professors and all these beautiful civil rights defenders, they are instrumental in the process of the subversion only to destabilize the nation. When their job is completed, they are not needed anymore. They know too much. Some of them, when they get disillusioned, when they see that Marxist-Leninists come to power, obviously they get offended. They think that they will come to power. That will never happen, of course. They will be lined up against the wall and shot. But they may turn into the most bitter enemies of Marxist-Leninists when they come to power. And that's what happened in Nicaragua. You remember most of these former Marxist-Leninists were either put to prison or one of them split and now he's working against them.